What's up, GDQ? My name is Nestani, and today we're going to be running Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights any percent no CE. Any percent just means to beat the game as fast as possible by beating the last boss in the game, Mastermind. And no CE just stands for no creepy early, which is a trick that we have banned in this category for accessibility purposes because it is an exclusive trick to the Xbox version of the game, which saves about 4 minutes. A lot of time. And basically just for general fun purposes, just so more people can run the game. And so without further ado, the run's just going to start as soon as I hit new game, and we'll just get right into it. So 3, 2, 1, go. So Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights is a 3D/2.5D Metroidvania platformer, which basically just means that we're going to be jumping on a bunch of things, doing some sick platforming, and we're going to be collecting a lot of upgrades throughout the game. Or at least you think we're going to be collecting a lot of upgrades throughout the game, but we're actually not going to. Because there are 11 inventions or major upgrades in the game, and we only need 4 of them in order to beat the game. Only 4, so we're collecting well under half, pretty much a third of all of the inventions in the game. So as you can imagine, we're skipping a ton of this game. We're actually going to be skipping the other 3 bosses in this game. We actually do not need them in order to progress. We have ways around all 3 of them, which I will point out as we do the tricks that relate to them. But first, we're going to be going to this kind of like a tutorial place where the game basically just tells you how to play, but we're actually going to be collecting these things called snacks, which are these things I'm jumping into, making that little sound. We need snacks in order to pay snack gates throughout the game, which are unavoidable things that we just basically have to pay. And the first one you're going to notice is 25, and you're going to be asking, well, why are you kind of going out of your way to collect these snacks if this is only 25? That's because they scale up to 850, so there's a 50, there's also a 500 gate. And so here, we're going to be kind of just skidding in before this cutscene triggers, and then we're going to be doing a trick known as Chandelier Jump. That jump can kind of be finicky, but it gives you 10 snacks, and you get to the key, and then you can talk to Holly, which she will give you the map, and then she will also, by talking to Holly, you spawn in the groundskeeper, which will give you our first upgrade of the game, our first invention, known as the shovel, which will allow Scooby to dig. Not sure why Scooby needs a shovel in order to dig. That's kind of weird, because he's a dog, but hey, you know, that's whatever. Also, fun fact, Don Knotts is the voice actor for the groundskeeper in this game, too. But moving on, we have our first major invention, and just to wrap up the snacks discussion, we go out of our way because some snacks later on in the game are actually slower than the snacks, let's say, in Playground. And so by getting all those snacks really quickly, it'll actually save us time later on down in the run, rather than if we just went straight to Mastermind. And so here, we're going to be making a cycle known as Rat Cycle, which is basically just making it through this last rat without having to run, walk, or jump around him. We can just walk straight through. And we're going to jump up and we're going to collect this snack box. Boop. And we prioritize snack boxes because they are worth 5 snacks overall. And so throughout the run, you'll see us be prioritizing them over just single snacks. So here, this is the first minigame that we were supposed to play with Shaggy, where he basically just throws up onto this box to access the new area. But look, for us, we're actually going to ignore Shaggy every single time that we see him this run. We do not need his help because we are a strong, independent dog who can jump on that box ourselves. Let me tell you what. And then we're going to jump up, get the snack box, and then we're going to be running through these hooks. Now, a thing I didn't mention is that everything is on a cycle. So enemies, these hooks, anything that moves in this game is on a cycle. And so I'm well acquainted with how this whole game's going to move. This is our second snack gate. And so we're going to move in a way and make certain cycles so that we can go through the levels as fast as possible. Now here you're going to notice this is the tar. Normally you need the galoshes upgrade in order to run, walk, or jump along the tar. Otherwise you can only walk. And here, this is a trick known as tar shots, where we jump and we get basically a 2-frame window to jump at the beginning of this level, and we can jump onto that little platform, so we can jump over and get a snack box, and basically it just saves 2 seconds and we get extra snacks. Very fun, and we're going to make our way to our first major invention of the game, the double jump. And then here we're going to start doing a trick known as Fishy Skip, which will also skip the need for us to need the galoshes, because we don't need to go into the Fishy Clues or Scooby-Doo levels anymore. And so we actually won't need to interact with the tar at all. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to clip through the water, and we're going to warp to the beginning of this level, and we're going to skip all the fishy. We skipped all the fishy. That's Fishy Skip. We skipped like 4 minutes of the game right there. And you're going to notice that this is the level that normally if you're going through Fishy normally and you pay the Fishy 4 gate, it shoots you out into this level and then you go into Coast. You're going to notice that we're already here. And the reason that works is because whenever you get out of bounds in this game, or you're basically falling through the void, the game will warp you back to a certain spot of the game, and that certain spot is always the intended entrance of the game. And since we were basically on the level after it warps us to the beginning, it's kind of confusing the way they labeled these things, but it'll be more apparent because we're going to do another void warp that'll be very obvious and make a lot more sense that we're skipping things in that manner. But I'll save that discussion later on. But with that trick, we have skipped 25% of the game. We have skipped the first boss of the game, which is Black Knight. And we have effectively skipped all the manor levels that come with and leading up to Black Knight. So again, we have just skipped 25% of the game. And now we're going to make our way, and we're going to be, again, prioritizing snack boxes and jumping across our back half. And so Fishy Skip is not actually over yet. It's basically like a 2-3 part trick where we need to get into Coast 3 in order to successfully complete it. But first we're going to do a trick known as Coast Cringe or Fish Cringe, which is basically we need these keys in order to get into that door. The 3 of these are really easy. The third one we need this fish for, which is why it's called Fish Cringe. That should be good. Where we basically use his hitbox, slide into him, and then we collect that key. I made that look really, really easy, but it's really, really finicky and it's very, very precise. And so the reason that we got that first try is really cool. Again, real quick, you're going to see that I'm dashing around these enemies. That is because whenever you use your charge attack as Scoob, which is basically just pressing the B button on your controller, your hitbox shrinks to only your head, so that we were able to slide around all of those enemies because basically we are allowed to slide between all those enemies just because whenever you push your head away for whatever reason, Scooby just doesn't get hit because his hitbox is only at his head. So you just aim your head away from enemies and you actually just won't run into them. And so here in Coast 3, we're going to be basically, we're going to become Great Dane Jesus. Basically, if you get hit, you get some iframes in this game. And with these iframes, we can actually just walk across the water, which we're going to do. So here we're going to walk across the water, and we just became Great Dane Jesus, and now we're just going across, and we're collecting these snack arcs. And so again, we're trying to collect the fastest snacks possible in this game, and since these arcs are pretty close together, also we're going to just jump onto an invisible fishnet. I forgot to mention that. And now we're going to hit the warp gate, and warp back to the beginning of the game, and we're going to make our way into Helmet. So now, Fishy Skip is done. We are done. We are over. We are good. And so that's all of Fishy Skip, and so now we have officially skipped Black Knight, and now we're going to be making our way into to the helmet upgrade. So now the reason that we have to do Fish Cringe in that manner is because we don't have the helmet upgrade, so we can't just break open those boxes, right? And so the reason that we can't just get the helmet upgrade and then come back is because we would have to also get the Super Smash upgrade in order to go back and then do Fishy Skip. But to get the Super Smash upgrade, you have to go through Fishy and Coast. So the only option is to collect those keys without the helmet, which is what we did. And so that's why we kind of have to go in this kind of out of order thing, and we're basically using warping in order to solidify that. So now we can warp back to that Coast 3 gate that we got after we get the helmet upgrade. But until then, unfortunate deaths. Sometimes you just sometimes the ledge on that wall doesn't work. We're trying to make a thing known as Eat Cycle. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you're really unlucky, sometimes you can just be thrown to your death there. That is what Eat Cycle is supposed to look like. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get the time save of it, but that is all right. And basically, we're just beelining to Hedge right now. Or not Hedge. We're beelining to the helmet upgrade right now. And basically, if you are familiar with the casual playthrough of this game, you'll know that we have to go through all of Hedge, all of Greenhouse, and all of Hill in order to get to Hill 3, or as I like to say, Helmet 3, which has the helmet invention. But we're actually not going to do that because Hedge 4 is a really long auto-scroller. And so actually what we're going to do is that we're going to go up that hill back there into the gate. And you can actually do this trick at home. All you have to do is pretty much just hold up left on the D-pad, and it'll let you clip through that gate, and it'll make you, and that gate leads to Misbehavin', cause a cave-in, which you'll know if you've played through this game casually is you're not supposed to be here for a while. You're supposed to collect the helmet and the smash before you get into these levels, but again, I can just go up to that gate, and then clip through, and now I'm in Misbehavin'. And basically what we're going to do is that we're going to go through the Skull Cliff levels backwards. So the reason we do this is that going through the Skull Cliff levels backwards is actually faster by about 2 minutes in order to get to the helmet, rather than going through a really long auto-scroller and the greenhouse levels. And so, setting up our next point, going back to the Void Warp, which we kind of glossed over at the beginning of the run, it's going to make a lot more sense now. You're going to see me literally go out of bounds and jump into the Void, and I'm going to spawn at the entrance of Skull 4. Now you're going to notice I'm going through these levels backwards. Focus up for a second. Get this jump here. Okay, now we're out of bounds. So that jump's a little hard, but essentially we're in Skull 4. So levels go in chronological order. They go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going 4, 3, 2, 1. And so because we're going through these levels backwards, we can jump out to this void here. And Skull 4, if you have played this game casually, is a really long level. We're at the beginning of the level. Just like that. We skipped the whole thing and now we're in Skull 3. So that's how void warping works. And that's how we can use it to our advantage to basically skip entire levels. That level's probably about 1.5 minutes long, 2 minutes long. We skip all of that by just getting out of bounds and warping to the beginning of the level. And now we're in Skull 3, and we're basically just beelining it to the helmet now. We're dodging these enemies and moving in certain ways so that we can make all the cycles in these levels to be able to jump on these crabs, get all these snacks, and basically just make our way through. I'll actually point out a cycle here in Skull 2, where at the end of this level we're going to be making a cycle known as Boulder Cycle, which is basically getting past a boulder without getting hit by it. And on lead up to that, luckily a lot of these boulders line up pretty well so that we don't have to alternate our dash timings too much. We can just get through all these boulders, this crab. We can basically just go through this whole section without getting hit once, and then we can make past this final boulder. Boom, we have made a Boulder Cycle. So again, everything moves and is on a cycle. I'm going to focus up for just a second here. This is going to be a bit scary of a jump, but luckily it's not too bad. I almost missed it. It's a bit of a Hail Mary jump. It looks really scary. And we're just going to jump across that whole gap. And then now we're in Skull 1, which Skull 1 leads to Hill 3, which hosts the helmet upgrade. So now we are in Hill 3. And this is where the helmet is located. And so again, the reason that we go through those levels backwards is because it saves about 2 minutes rather than going through the levels forwards. And so we're just going to be collecting these snacks on the way up, and we're going to be making our way to our second major upgrade of the game, the helmet. And then after that, we will be making our way to the Super Smash. And then after we get to Super Smash, we're actually going to beeline it to Mastermind, because these are the only 4 inventions that we need in order to beat the game. And so, at the top of here, we're going to do a trick known as pause storage. Pause storage essentially just allows us to warp from anywhere in the game. It's a little bit scary because we hover over quit game yes, and we basically unplug our controller at the same time. Like this. It's going to make this sound. And then now we have 2 menus. And so now, with these 2 menus, we can basically do some menu tricks, make it over, and now we can just warp without the use of a warp gate, which is very poggers. And now we're back here at Coast 3, which is where we were at the beginning. And now we pay that 500 snack gate, and now we head into Which Way. And Which Way leads into Lighthouse 1, which hosts the Super Smash upgrade. Now, that's pretty much the whole Fishy Skip thing. So now we've pretty much really set that to bed. And now we're just going to make our way to the last invention that we need in order to beat Mastermind. And the reason why we need the helmet and the Super Smash upgrades in order to beat Mastermind is because we need to defeat Funland robots. And the only way to defeat Funland robots is by knocking them down with the helmet upgrade and then Super Smashing them with the Super Smash upgrade. But here we're going to try to do... You saw a frame perfect earlier. I didn't point it out. There is a frame perfect. Normally, whenever we bonk into enemies with your helmet, Scooby will play a bonking animation, which basically is just him hitting something and then like sitting on the floor. We can cancel that by just releasing the B button on basically the same frame that we connect our head with said object. So we can do this on enemies, we can do this on buttons, we can do it on pretty much anything that the helmet collides with in the game that will play the bonking animation. We can cancel that, and basically each one of these cancels saves about a second. So here, we sent the thing to the top, got another frame perfect, and now we have the Super Smash upgrade, which you guessed it, is like a ground pound from Super Mario. And we're going to pound through the floorboards, and we're going to make our way through Lighthouse 2. We're going to collect some snacks, we're going to hit a warp gate, and we're going to go back to Shock, and then we're going to take a shortcut into Creepy. You're going to notice that we can actually go to Creepy here, but because Creepy is blocked off by a pretty large snack gate, that would be slow if we paid the snack gate, because, again, we have to get to 850 snacks, which we do not currently have, as you can see. So instead, we're just going to take the shortcut in order to get into Creepy, rather than paying the snack gate to get into Creepy. So here, boop, now we are in Creepy 1, which leads to Mastermind. Now, you're probably questioning yourselves, okay, but you still need the umbrella and you need the gum and the soap, right? Wrong. No, we don't need those. We actually do not need any of the upgrades. We do not need any more upgrades in this game, as I said before. And by that, we're going to be doing two tricks very similar to each other. You're basically just jumping on some invisible ledges and visible ledges in order to skip basically the inventions that we need. So RBS is known as Redbeard Skip, and GGS is known as Green Ghost Skip. These tricks are literally back to back, so literally we're going to skip 50% of the game in about 10 seconds. It's going to go by really quickly, and basically we do this by jumping up some invisible ledges. And so basically how it works is that this chasm that I'm about to go into, by the way, we're skipping Shaggy here again, getting this key. We can just do it ourselves. This chasm, normally you need the soap in order to soap bats in order to jump up this chasm. We can just jump up like that. And then now this is Green Ghost. Normally you need a umbrella to float to the top here. We're gonna jump up these invisible ledges here, and we're gonna make it to the top, and then we're gonna wait for that bat flying around on the screen there. We're gonna wait for him, we're gonna ground pound him, and then we're gonna jump up to the top of this room. And now we have skipped Green Ghost and Redbeard. And basically both of those boss fights, you have to get to those bosses, you have to go through a ton of levels. So you have to go through the crypt levels and like the graveyard levels, all those levels in order to get to Green Ghost, in order to get that upgrade. For Redbeard, you have to go through all the ship levels, all the wreck, the ghast, everything in order to get the Green Ghost. But instead, we can just, by literally four ledges, little four ledges, we can just skip 50% of the game. And now we have skipped every major boss in the game besides Mastermind, because of course we need to beat Mastermind. Here we're actually jumping up visible ledges. You can't see it because of the camera, but those ledges are actually very visible, even though they look invisible to us. We're going to pay this 850 snack gate, and if you're keeping track of snacks, you'll notice that I have one snack left. And that is because we tried to collect, we are collecting exactly the amount that we need. I collected one extra just because of very weird snack pathing and stuff, because we collect a bit more than we need. And so I had one over because of weird snack stuff that I won't get into. Here, this is known as Shark Skip, which again, we're going to abandon Shaggy again. We do not need his help to open this door, because we're just going to walk up. Very similar to SCS, we're going to hold up left on our D-pad, jump through the door. And now we're in Mastermind Unmasked 2, which is where Mastermind is at. And so here, if you're concerned about Shaggy's well-being, do not be, because he is in the back of this room here. He's back with the whole gang. He's fine. He didn't get eaten by the shark. We're all good. Everything's fine. And then we're going to clip through this wall here. The reason that we clip through this wall, and we're going to clip through that wall, and now we're in the Mastermind boss fight. The reason we clip through that wall is because the Mastermind boss fight is 3 waves of enemies that you have to defeat, and then knock him into the electricity by those buttons in the back there. Basically, clipping that wall means that there are only 2 waves of enemies instead of 3. Hence, it's faster to do it like that. So I'm going to jump up here, get a different camera angle, just widen my camera angle just so I can see Mastermind, because you're going to notice, also we're going to be going for frame perfects on enemies more and more. Basically every frame perfect again 1 second. And basically Mastermind spawns are random, and so I wanted that camera angle just so I can see where Mastermind is spawned. And this is the only point of RNG in the run, which is basically you can get a 1-hit spawn, 2-hit spawn, 3-hit spawn, or a 4-hit spawn if you're really lucky. Ideally you want a 1-hit spawn, and so we're going to wait for Mastermind to spawn, and then we're going to ground pound him and push him into the buttons. We got a 1-hit spawn, so timer is going to stop as soon as he gets electrocuted. So right about now. And that is Scooby-Doo, not of 100 frights, any percent. Again, and so yeah, that's frights any percent. They really go. I don't really have much else to say. Thank you for your all's time, GDQ. I hope you all enjoyed the run. Hopefully I get in. If not, you know, unlucky. Nothing I can do about that. But just thank you all for your time and your consideration, and I hope that Unapologetically Black and Fast goes very, very well. I'll be watching the event regardless if I'm in it or not. So yeah, thank you. Peace, peace.